Just remember, guys, this is the way to do this. I'm talking schedulers. Just do what I'm doing right now. You look and say, on these first patients, do they have a history of break-in? Do I feel okay? How are they confirmed? Because it's so common that they're the ones that break and you can't fix it. You know, so I'm looking across. I don't know about the first two hygienes. How do we feel about the first two?
Well, we did call and confirm with them.
You did?
And
was that a verbal thing?
Yep, it was verbal.
Yeah.
So that's what we've been doing now. We're just confirming the 9 o'clock. Even though they confirmed.
You know, and we have the the solutions reach and all that kind of technology. It's just that means they responded yes to a text. First patient of the day, that breaks. You can't get that back, and you have 8 hours a day to use these things. So I don't like losing even the first hour that I can't fix. So. Okay. So the hygiene.
I'll go. So basically, all my patients are just recalls. Literally just prophies. No next visits needed. So mine's straightforward.
Okay.
I
Michelle.
do have a new patient though.
I see her. We'll talk about him in a few minutes, Michelle. Rachel. That's the Rachel of the Mayhews?
Yeah.
Michelle? Is her sister in Bridgeton still?
Jana.
The one we went to high school with. The Judy.
She was a pilot,
Judy.
stewardess or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she goes to Bridgeton.
Just came in my brain. That's the reason I'm talking about it. Okay. Brooke?
So my first patient, Walter Robinson, he doesn't have teeth or implants, but
What are we doing?
There's a note.
He doesn't have teeth or implants. So our first hygiene patient. I don't know whether I want this to make Instagram or not. So this is what we do a morning meeting for. Seriously. The reason you see so many of these is because this is where you try to get rid of some of the bumps, right? It's a little bit of a bump unless he's called for a consult.
The note here says he called to make appointment. Do you know who made that note? Who made
The front.
So does it say he was having any problems? Or?
like, what did he say when he
Okay.
called to make an appointment?
So listen, come on. We got to be better than this. I mean, seriously, this just happened to Brooke yesterday, right? And look, Brooke, I would tell you this. Maybe one solution is for you to look. We used to do that when we were at our peak levels of performance, which sometimes we are these days and sometimes we're not. It requires diligence, and the way we used to do it. Didn't hygiene look at their charts the night before? And I even hate suggesting that to you. But now what we have is what you just said to me at your first patient. At worst, it seems like no production for you, which happened yesterday.
Yeah.
So, I care about you guys having productive, good days. So my next question, Michelle, is I need backup. Remember what I just said a few minutes ago? I said, look across the first patients. Does it feel like they're going to come? Why do I say that? Because I'm on Instagram? No. Because so often the first breaks I see in our office, and this is after 44 years and a lot of protocols to stop it from happening, is the first patient of the day. And God knows I know better because you can't fix the first break. You can't fix it because it's 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock. And what are they going to do? They call the 9 o'clock over, and it'll say, oh, we got it fixed. And that means the 9 o'clock gets here at 10 and 9. That's what it means. It never gets fixed. And we don't have a lot of breaks in this practice. I would admit that. But when you tell me that you don't know, to step back and look, so you're going to tell me, I know what you would say. So how would I know that Walter doesn't have teeth or implants?
Well, this one is a no-brainer to me
Tell me.
because it says he called to make appointment. So when he called to make appointment,
Yeah.
you check his chart or you check his history.
Well, somebody here took the
When
call.
was the last cleaning?
Do we have a process that says who took the call? I'd rather the person that took the call just say, hey, it was me.
It might have been me, and I just called him.
Okay.
and he got a text message from our office saying that he was overdue for his cleaning to call the office. He called to schedule his
Okay.
appointment, and we scheduled him. But I did not pull his chart or
Okay, so that would fall under the category of what I just said a minute ago. Like, you've got to look at the first patient. It's just not fair. It's not fair to her. You guys are getting paid for this first hour, whether your patients show up or not. She's not. So it's not cool. And I obviously can't. I trust you guys to have your hands on everything. I don't think that's a big ask to look at the first patients of the day. There's too many. Look, we give general diligence to all of them. Like, we call them, confirm them. And I get the great majority of them show up. I get that. But to start the day, again, hell, this has already been on Instagram once. This very comment's been on there. It's 3 patients at the most, because you have 3 hygienists. Are they coming? Do they have a history of breaking? And what are am I sure? I don't remember the last time we had a patient that didn't have teeth. How's he even a patient? I pulled all his teeth and that was the end of it?
Yeah, dentures.
Oh, he has
I didn't
dentures?
think he came with teeth. That's his one and only X-ray. He just came for.
We check people with dentures
me
yearly.
looking at this wouldn't tell me I would have had to pull his chart. Because
For
it just says dentures. It
soft
doesn't tell me
tissue
whether
and
it's upper, lower, forward,
oral health. This was a solution reach. I'm not cutting him up. Confirmation that backfires on us because he's not coming. And my hygienist is down an hour.
I have Patrick McNeil, who's coming in at 11:30. He has a check on 27 Bristol for small caries from his last appointment. And then Patricia Cephas, she's coming in at 1:30, and you had a note in there to eval her bite, but she's going to you after for an insert of crown 2 through 5, so I'm guessing you'll just check her bite there.
So I'm going to go back. Is George here yet? Does anybody know?
Not yet.
Okay. The one thing no one talks about is how do you find the time in a GP practice for recall, the backbone of every good dental practice, right? Think about it this way. And I know it's a measure of success for a young dentist. I felt the same way, like, ooh, I need 2 hygienists. Ooh, I need 3. Well, the one thing you're not thinking about when that happens is the time that's going to be required in the future when you have to check them during a given day. So think about this. If you have 2 hygienists and they see 7 patients per day, they're going to see 7 or more. And let's say you spend 5 minutes with each of them, right? So that's 14 times 5, 70 minutes, right? Where do you factor in the 70 minutes to actually go back and do a recall exam? Even worse, we know that it takes about 1.5 minutes to get up, wash your hands, walk into the hygiene room, turn around. You're going to say something. You're not going to say, open your mouth. And so it's not really 5 minutes. It's probably more like 10 minutes. So now it's 10 times 14 patients on 2 hygienists. That's 140 minutes. Guess what? Today I have 3 hygienists. So where do you don't schedule time in your day to make that happen. Where does that time come from? And you know what? The bottom line to all this is that it leads and creates stress. It also leads to bad clinical decisions. So I don't have the answers to all of it, but I have a couple things that'll help you. Number 1, add time to all your procedures. You always hear me say that. And I know a young dentist, and somebody's going to probably write something negative, but adding time to all your procedures, and I did it about 5 years ago. So I didn't do it early in my career. And what that does is it gives you extra time to make better clinical decisions, extra time to connect and bond with not only your patients, but your team. It's just better. You should try it for 1 month and see if it happens, see if it works for you. I'll tell you something, you'll be more productive, not less productive, because you'll make less clinical and judgmental errors. The second thing is this, the hygiene check slip. So let me tell you what this is. I've used these for about 30 years. So I have 3 hygienists. At the top is a little symbol of who it is with Valerie that works for me that you saw on other Instagrams that's worked for me for 30 years. She loves dogs, so there's a golden retriever at the top. This is a Cliff Notes of the patient I'm about to break from and go to see. You know, how do you remember a patient that you saw 6 months ago, right? It's quite difficult. So what this is what if they took additional x-rays today, maybe it was a full mouth series. What was the last work that was done on the patient and how are they doing with that? What about new work that we've discussed that they may need and maybe they're interested in today? So this zooms you right in to the patient you're about to see. It does one more thing that's important. Think about this. You're working, you bring a patient back, you're 10 minutes late, you see the patient's seated in the operatory, and your hygienist walks in the room and she says, hygiene check in room 2. Not a good idea for the patient that's already been waiting 10 minutes. What I have them do is they just drop off the slip. I know why they dropped off the slip, and when I have time, I'll turn around and look at the slip. And at the top of it, it says when they will be finished the prophies. What they'll do is they'll drop this off at the beginning of their visit. And maybe it'll say, I'm going to be done in, if it's 10 o'clock, they may say, I'll be done at 10:45. That tells me I have between right now, 10 o'clock, and 10:45 to get in and do the recall. They'd much rather you do that than show up at 10:50 and put them, 5 or 10 minutes late to start your examination. So does 2 things for you. It eliminates them coming in and verbally telling you, interrupting your care with a patient saying, I have a check for you to do, doctor. Patients don't want to hear that. So when they put the slip down, I know what they're there for. Number 2, it zooms me in. It gives me a laser focus of the patient I'm about to see. Hygiene check slip helps find time in your day.
When she put it on, she changed it. I'll put them in. They'll stay for a week or 2, and then I notice they're loose.
Yeah, see, I can add a different attachment. It doesn't have to be on your bar back here, right? You let me do that first and we'll figure it out.
Okay.
Were you here today for attachments or just for me to talk to you?
Thank you.
Okay. Hey, Eddie.
Hi, how are you?
Say hi to Instagram.
Hi, everybody. How are you?
You think you're bright enough? You look
I
like a
think
little
so.
lemon
What do you
pop.
think? Hey, that's a good choice, right?
Yeah. 80 joined us how long ago?
Exactly, I want to say 6 months ago.
Yeah. You know how you say you always hire for attitude over talent? I got both. Right? You have such a good attitude.
Thank you.
She'll say things to me that I have no idea are coming. Like, what do you say? Some of the things. Well, you're very religious, so you say a lot of gospel things to me.
I do. But
Like-
it's always about good, positive thinking. Like, you can't wake up with always expecting to have good things happen if you don't expect to have a little challenge in the way.
Yeah. So she'll say things like, I'm in the middle of a crisis. And she'll say, you good, Doc? You got this. We got this. We're going to have a great day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you do, right? Because you always come out good. Right?
That's okay. Oh, yeah.
What are we doing? Who's this for?
This one is, I was looking at the schedule.
Right here.
It's probably going to be for them because we have room 1 and 2. This is who's next and he's
Okay.
not here yet.
Well,
So I'm going to go check.
You know what you're doing for Gail, right?
Yes. Yep. It's a CT and a scan.
You and I became like, you did especially. People liked you, right? Did you see that?
No.
You didn't see her Instagram?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you got like remember the day you were in here
Yeah,
with me?
yeah, yeah.
And I said, check it out. I was surprised. Like, I thought it was like, it's me talking to you. And no, people liked it. Probably because of you. Nobody likes me, but they always like whoever I'm talking to.
That's not true.
Oh. See that? See this patient? I know you don't, because there's not one there. That was my whole point. I know sometimes you guys hate when I seem like intense in the morning meeting. The thing that makes me the most intense is lack of preparation to start a day. I mean, what are you here for? I mean, we're here because we love what we do, hopefully. Can you decrease that sound? And part of loving what you do is doing it. And you can't do it if there's not a patient here. The way you start your day, not just in dentistry, in everything in life, has a lot to do with how that day evolves. And all you hear me asking for when I talk in the morning meetings is the preparation required so this patient who you can't see becomes a patient you can see that's actually in her chair. Brookie is on the computer trying to probably, well, you're probably looking at clothes for your new kid.
Vacations or something.
And vacations and things like that. You know, different types of summer drinks that she can make as soon as this day's over. Would that be correct?
No, because I'm here tomorrow.
Oh, because you're here? Are you?
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so, you know, really, I know I'm being redundant right now, but that's why I make a big deal out of it. So this doesn't happen. And the way to do that is, you know, the real way to fix it is if your practice has longevity, meaning you just didn't start this year, you don't put a patient in the first spot that has ever broken an appointment. Okay? It's called the first appointment. I wrote a book called The Protocol Book 15 years ago. There was a protocol written for that called the first appointment of the day protocol. And that protocol was don't put a patient in for me or my hygienist who's ever broken an appointment, because when they break one, they'll always break a second appointment. Okay? It's just the way people function. And there's others that'll never break an appointment. They just feel responsible about keeping their appointments. And in dentistry, you can't fix the opening appointment. You know, everybody says you can, but you can't. So what'll happen is they'll call the next patient over, and I'll go to the front desk team and I'll say, hey, did you fix the front? Oh, we did, we fixed it, doc. Yeah, that means the second patient comes in 15 minutes early. That's not a fix. I've said it many times, you got 8 hours a day to use the two things we signed up for. And you can't replace the lost productivity that you probably shouldn't have to start your day. It's a big issue. Like, where do you find the 5 minutes, and it's not 5 minutes, I keep saying that, per hygiene patient during your day? Part of the way you find it is in the morning meeting. Like, I have a lot of 3 and 4 month recall patients because we have that kind of practice where the heavy emphasis on periodontal health. So if my hygienist tells me they were here 3 or 4 months ago, and I will defer to them whether they need me to examine the patient every 3 or 4 months. Often I do not. So that's another way I can find time in a given day to check when I have 3 hygienists. So here we are. It's part of my crew this morning. They don't even know what I'm doing. You got Jana. Janae's another cool example of good attitude. Do you still write those things on the schedules?
I do when I
Do you?
do have time.
Yeah.
I do.
So Janae used to write every expert. That's an example which you write on the schedule. Like, I would go be working on a patient, and I would see this handwritten. You have good handwriting, by the way.
Thank you.
Little expression like every expert started as a beginner. Remember that one?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Like, cool stuff, inspiring stuff. I didn't ask her to write that. I mean, it's just the makeup of Janae. So that's Janae, master of many trades in this office, clinically very important to our success.
Thank you, Dr. Rasner.
He's following you. So this is my friend George. What's up, man? So, you know what the cool thing about practicing in your hometown? The cool thing is you get to work with people you've known for a lifetime. And he is one of them. How far we go back?
71. You
Se-
graduated in 72. I graduated in 74.
Right?
I was a sophomore. 70.
Were you behind me? Were you in the you were?
No, I was behind you. You was with my cousins. I got out in 74. You got out in 72.
Yeah.
I think you was in the gymnastics.
I was in gymnastics, yeah. Yeah.
I was in basketball, football. and
Were you?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. But that's the cool thing. I mean, you guys can't see this, but right out in front of us is a street that goes all the way to Bridgeton. And that's where George and I are from, you know. And then, you know what's really cool is that's when people, because I have to wear, I never did it with you. I wear the same hat. But not when you're in the chair. When you're in the chair, I put on the doctor hat and look at you as if it was me in the chair, really, to be honest. And what's the best thing I can do for you given that? And then when we're not in the chair, it's like this, right?
You know what?
I'm in. Appreciate you do. I do. I appreciate coming all this time. And that's why I wanted to talk to you this morning. Like, it's easy for me to say, oh, George was here. He's getting his attachments changed. You know, even if you don't do anything, at least I've done my diligence to, can I make this better? That's what it is. So today's treatment is this tooth is coming out. We're going to do an immediate implant. And that's what you're going to see me do from afar. What'd you say?
What's in Hollywood today?
No. Hey, thanks, yeah. No. No, we're not Hollywood. So Rich, I just want to make sure you're good. Chin up. Close a little bit. Chin up a little bit more. Open. Are you waiting for me? No?
I'm going to give you a little rinse.
I did everything.
You did it all?
Yeah.
I'm just going to pop my head and say hi. I'm not even going to touch her.
Okay. Yeah, I'm all set.
Do you have it up? Did you do a PA, or is there anywhere for me to see that, Ray? Is it up already?
In the hallway, and I'm bringing it up now.
Oh, it looks awesome in the hallway. Did you do a scan on her also?
Yes, I did. She is ready.
Hello, little girl.
Hello, how are you?
Was that there last time?
No.
What's up?
I have an autoimmune disorder and I had a flare up. I don't know if it's weather or what, just whatever, but I wound up getting fasciitis. It attacked all
Yeah.
my ligaments, all my tendinitis.
What do you do about that?
You gotta rest, you gotta try just take pain medicine, and I mean I couldn't even move my fingers or my hand yesterday at all. It's better today.
Your bone looks perfect on the x-ray.
Nice.
I mean, if we don't get a successful implant out of this,
Good.
I don't know what'll do it.
Right.
Okay, so that's what you're here for.
Right.
It looks awesome.
Perfect.
2, what's the island that your husband wants to be the king of? Is it Bahamas? Bermuda? I went there.
You were telling me last time I was here you were going.
Oh
Did
my
you love
God,
it?
I get it. I totally
Did you
get it.
And,
Yes.
And they still haven't done anything with that hotel. It's still
I
not
get.
open.
I did not even know what Bermuda was
And
about.
it's so close, and it's
Yes,
so beautiful.
yes.
And it's so, the people are so friendly.
Exactly right.
I'm like, I would move there tomorrow.
Well, I know people that actually live there now.
Yeah.
It is. Have you been there?
No.
It's like flying to Florida. That's how close it is, but
Yeah.
from out
Oh,
of the country.
wow.
It's off the coast of North Carolina.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I mean, it's nothing to get there. And even before you land, you know this is a good move because the water
It's like,
is so blue, right?
they got one of the most beautiful beaches in the world. Top
Yeah.
10.
Oh, it's stunning. And then you know
I
how,
mean, you said how clean it was,
like,
too.
you know how like you get to like sometimes the Bahamas, and the people are all over you selling you stuff.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen.
When we first started going to Bermuda, the police didn't even have guns. They had
Oh,
to have
wow.
people there
Yeah.
Now they have guns, but they had to have people go train them because they didn't have guns.
And they all have like English accents.
Yeah, they're
Right?
It's an England island.
Definitely on my list now.
And the guys,
Travel.
by the way, Bermuda shorts, that's where it came
Yeah.
from.
Yeah.
And it's more expensive there because it's just, but everything is imported.
Anyway,
Right, exactly.
They import a lot of their stuff from Carney's Point, from Salem, New Jersey.
are you going to take sedation for the next one? You should.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll see you.
Okay. See ya.
All right, you're all finished.
Patient relationships. You got to have them, develop them all the time. Maybe her husband wants to buy a big hotel in the Bahamas. I'm hoping he does. So when I have a tooth like the one you saw in the x-ray, there's two ways to get it out. One is the troughing technique that I teach at my institute. And sometimes you can really, that's challenging because there's not enough room between the tooth and the adjacent teeth, but there is with him. But I've got nothing to lose by trying apical force and the concept of creep. That means torquing a tooth, holding the position for 10 seconds, and then releasing and then going back in. You do that, and a lot of you do that and you don't even know you're doing that. So I don't normally do it with a forceps. I usually use a elevator, but this is in a good position. So I'm going to use this like an elevator. I'm going to torque. He won't even know that I'm doing it, the patient, and I'm going to hold for 10 seconds. And I'll know quickly if that's going to work here. It usually does. We'll see. I always have this saying, if you listen to the tooth, it'll tell you what to do. So when I torqued him with a forceps, I felt like I wasn't getting enough. So I'm going to create a trough right now. Use an elevator to go down the side of the root and do it that way, and you'll see a very big difference. So I'll tell you what makes it's interesting about this tooth. I've been giving courses for 8 years. This tooth can take me 60 seconds to get out using the principles I teach. But sometimes it just doesn't for whatever the reasons are. He's a bruxer, he's got thick bone, thick smut, thick resistance. So I tried to forceps, I didn't get that release. I troughed. I used luxators. I didn't get the release. I went little by little. Remember, I got adjacent crowns I don't want to lose. And finally, I guess the important takeaway is be kind to yourself, because sometimes, even to the teacher, it's a struggle. Amber giving me directions as always, bossing me around. You want to know the real boss? Custom abutment. This one is about 6 weeks old. So the biggest takeaway is the extraction. It honestly is. I mean, I'm pretty good at removing teeth. That's about as challenging as it gets because I got to be so mindful of the adjacent space. I don't have any room. I don't have any room for mistakes because I have a crown to my left, a crown to my right. And if I torque, and I torque against one of those crowns, because I'm not mindful that I'm doing that, guess what's coming off? And it could even break, which would be even worse. So take your time, listen to the tooth. What's that mean? If you're with a forceps like I was, and you luxate, and you torque the tooth, in less dense bone, you feel more of a give than I did. I was going up against concrete. And then when I went the other way, I felt the same way, so I stopped. I troughed, which meant I used a very skinny diamond from Rasner that I got from the great Dennis Tarnow 20 years ago. And it creates a 1 millimeter channel that you can insert a luxator and then luxate. That's what got me through it. I got it loose enough at that point that I could finish with a forceps. But once that's over, I mean, the whole procedure takes 5 minutes. So take your time on an immediate, especially in the aesthetic zone, of getting the tooth out atraumatically. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
How you doing?
Good.
They gave me the easy part, the shade.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
Did you walk this wave on there like that?
I did. I'm trying to remember why. I know why. That's not it. It's always easy to know which one you don't like. I might want to see 3R, I'm not sure. I'm starting to like it. You always got to go in from this side, you know, because it doesn't, this doesn't correlate to this
Right.
all the time. I think that's it. Add to the cervical lingual of 5, or she is going to have a food trap. A little bit too, just a hair, it'd be nothing. This is easy.
That's fine.
Okay? So I want a number. I want you to get me out composite. See, I also got to address this. Close a little bit. A little more. Use Citinest plain first. Just a couple drops because it has a neutral pH. Use 4% Citinest plain. Just a couple drops. Then the real shot, we use articaine almost on everything for infiltrations because it won't bite as much. So some patients are scared only of the needle, only of the shot. That's one way to overcome that. Citinest, 4%, right before your actual anesthetic. I even do that with blocks. You probably already know that, but it's a little tip. Use 4% Citinest plain, just a couple drops. Then the real shot, we use articaine almost on everything for infiltrations because it won't bite as much. So some patients are scared only of the needle, only of the shot. That's one way to overcome that. Citinest, 4%, right before your actual anesthetic. I even do that with blocks. You probably already know that, but it's a little tip. Patients never tell me my shots hurt. Would that be correct? I didn't pay you to say that? Cool.
You didn't give me no warning.
Okay, set me up.
Yep.
So again, the takeaway there, I know this is a minor point for most of you, but first of all, I don't do most of the anesthesia here. But when you're doing it, just try it a couple times. Use 4% Citinest, few drops, right in the area that you're going to shoot with the regular Novocaine. Citinest has a neutral pH. They don't feel it going in. Followed by your other shot, which doesn't have a neutral pH, and that's why people feel the bite of Novocaine or whatever anesthetic you're using.